Hello, this is Ivan. Um, on this 2014 year, we're gonna have four eclipses. The first two already passed. They were on April 15, and the first one was a total lunar eclipse. The second one was on April 29, and it was an annular solar eclipse. Now, but the next month, October 8, we will have another eclipse. It's a total lunar eclipse, and then October 23rd, we're gonna have a partial solar eclipse. These pictures that you see on a video right now are some of the pictures that I took on a lunar eclipse on April 15. On this video, I will explain to you about the times and places where these eclipses will be visible. How a little explanation about how the eclipses work, and about the blood moons. If you have heard about it, I will give you some information that you may like to hear or take a look at. The first one, the next month is on the 8th of October 2014. That's gonna be a total lunar eclipse. This is a diagram that explains the time and the moments of the of the lunar eclipse, the one on October 8th. All these times are marked on universal time. The first contact is going to start on west on P1, which means penumbra 1. The first contact of this eclipse will be at 8:15 universal time. I have a website that I use most of the time to convert this time to your local time, and it's a very good website. I will show you the links in this video. But the point is, the first contact will be at 8:15 universal time. In this part, it's the moon is passing through the penumbra of the planet Earth, and I can tell you this: it's almost impossible to see differences between the full moon and the moon when it's located on this position right here. It's almost like you probably can see like it doesn't look so big differences, but when the moon start going into the umbra 1, which is going to be at 9:14, it's about 1 hour after the eclipse starts. When the moon is coming on this part, which means is the umbra of the planet Earth, the moon is going to start turning a little bit like a dark gray, a little bit like black. I can tell you because I see these things on April 15. Now, when the moon passes from this part of the eclipse and enters in this section, the YouTube will be at 10:25. It's about an hour after, about 2 hours after it starts. When the moon starts going on this part, you start gonna see the big differences. It's a beautiful part right here. The moon start turning from a dark gray to something like red orange. When the moon is coming into the greatest eclipse, right here on top, which is be at 10:55. I'd say 10:54 universal time. This is the moment when the complete moon, 100% the moon, will be turning red. Now, this, you may know this, but every full moon, when you see the moon on the sky, when you see a full moon on the sky, it only lasts, the 100% illumination of the lunar disk only lasts for a few minutes, few seconds or minutes. In this case right here, you're probably gonna check this out. This signal delta T, which means it's the greatest eclipse, or the time between get out from the completely shadow of the Earth, will be last only for 67 seconds, which means you got about 1 hour. Now, if you want or planning to take pictures of this, you may need to take a look of this time and convert this to your local time, because this, you're only gonna have like 1 minute to take a perfect picture of the whole moon become red. If you wait a little bit more, you start seeing it a little bit differences in here. I'm going to show you a little picture in here really quick. But the moment when the moon crosses this part, it's going to start looking like this. This right here. Now when the moon is about to become red, it's starting looking like this. Let me show you this. Now on this part right here, this is the part where become reds. See, you cannot see a big differences if you're not training to look at the moon every month, or you're not used. I mean, you have no, they look at the moon every month, and see the colors and see the sizes. You probably don't see that much, but if you got to the, if you got to at this point right here, this is what you expect to see. Now, when the moon passes on a U2 at 10:25 universal time, it start going into the completely shadow of the planet Earth. The moon start turning red, and it's pretty much gonna look like this. Now, when the moon is completely on this part, like the whole moon is getting here, it's gonna take from about, let's see, from a 10:25 universal time and all the way to the U3 when it's gonna start to get in contact with the U4. You're gonna have probably around 2 hours where the eclipse is. In about 2 hours, let's say, the moon is gonna start looking red from one part, and it's gonna pass, and it's only gonna last for about 1 minute when you can take a perfect picture of the moon, become 100% red, and then it's gonna start leaving the shadow. All this time right here, it's gonna be about 2 hours. But I want you to see this thing. If you can see this picture right here, that's not 100% red. That's because I didn't got the time or the chance to take the picture on the greatest time, on the greatest eclipse, or on the delta T. It was just taking picture when the moon was leaving the part, one part of the shadow, and it started looking a partial eclipse this part. And right here it was a completely shadow of the earth covering the moon. But still, it's a beautiful and a great experience. So you have an idea what you expect to see when it's lunar eclipse. Now, after the total eclipse pass, the partial will start again. Going back to the same place. It's going to east now. It's going to start on Umbra 4. The time for this contact will be at 12:34 universal time, and about 1 hour after, the last contact will be at 13 hours 33 minutes universal time, which is going to be on this position right here. Now, I can tell you this: when the moon comes to this part, you will not see a big differences between the regular full moon and this eclipse. The eclipse durations right here, we have the times. The penumbral will be about 5 hours, the umbral about 3 hours, and the total eclipse about 58 minutes. It's about an hour or so. The whole complete eclipse will last about 5 hours. Now, where on the planet the eclipse will be visible? This is another map from NASA. All this area, and all this backside right here, including big part of Russia and Australia, the whole eclipse will be visible from the beginning to the end. This dark area marked here, which is Africa, Spain, and England, and big part of and one part of Russia too, the eclipse will be not visible. Now, if you see this part from P1, either this part of the world or this one, the eclipse it's gonna start seeing visible just partial. The people who live on this part of the world will see to the U2 to U1, which is mean when they make contacts with the umbra, and this part of the world, U2 and U3, including this part. People who live in there and people who live on this part of the world, including this, they're gonna have the chance to look at the moon when it starts becoming red. Now, from U3 to U4, this is including me in Houston is around here. So whoever lives in these areas, they're going to see the whole moon convert red, which just means the total eclipse will be visible in here, including this part. Now, when the moon is going to the partial again, which is in U4, all this part, the people who live on this area will still keep looking at this lunar eclipse, including this part right here. But the people who live in this, including me, we are not gonna see the eclipse anymore. It's over for us. The reason is because when this happened, for this part of the world, the moon will be set already, and also the sun will be rising around the same time. So when the sun rises up, it is no way to see the eclipse in here anymore. But people who live on this part, and including this part, they're gonna have the chance to look at the whole eclipse since the beginning to the end. Now there is good news about this. I kind of feel a little bit bad, right? I was trying to make a trip and trying to get myself somewhere located somewhere here, but I don't think I'm gonna make it. But the point is, at least whoever live in here, for the people who live in here, we're gonna see the total eclipse happening. We're gonna see when the moon become red. It's gonna be a very good chance to take pictures, and then at least I mean we're gonna have to see it. We're just gonna expect about the weather, that the weather let us see this this event in space. Now I repeat, if you located somewhere around here or on this part of the world, you will have the experience to see the eclipse since the beginning to the end, since it starts on penumbra 1 and ends on penumbra 4 again. Now the times. I'm gonna put the link of this page, but maybe you can look at it right here. It's the timezoneconverter.com. It's a very easy page. I mean, I like this page. What you gotta do, just type the city where you are and just type UTC. That's the universal time. Let's say for me in Houston, it's 10:48 a.m. Universal time is 3:48 p.m. Now, keep this in mind, please. When we mark P1 all the way to P4, we're trying to, I need you to understand that the eclipse depends on where you're located. You're going to see the eclipse since the P1 to the U4. For example, if you are in Texas, in this part of Texas, you're going to have the chance to see the eclipse since the begins all the way and to becomes to U4, which is means when it comes to this part. That's what I'm saying, that at least we in Texas and this part of Texas, we're gonna see when the eclipses start, when it becomes a pass to the penumbra, to the and then to the shadow, completely shadow of the earth. And this part right here, the moon becomes red, and it's just an optic illusion. Okay, don't think the moon really becomes red. It's just because the atmosphere of the planet Earth and the sun light crossing the atmosphere make the colors of the reflection of the light looks red. That's what it is only. If you're in space, you're not gonna see nothing. You see the moon with the same thing. And if you see in space the earth passing and cover the light of the sun, you're only gonna see something dark. But the point is this: to wherever you are located in here, try to look at this page to the time converter and see this, because even if you here, you're gonna see partial. You're gonna see the total eclipse that you hear. If you hear, you're gonna see since the beginning, partial, total, and at the end. Now, let's say the eclipse is gonna start. It's gonna start at 8:15 in universal time. That means that for me in Houston, the eclipse will start at 3:15 in the morning. Now, the best part at all, it starts at YouTube. By 10:25, let's try here. By 5 o'clock, by 5:25 in the morning, that's when the total eclipse will start. That means when the moon will be passed through the shadow of the earth. Now, the greatest eclipse, which is when you see the moon become real, I mean it looks like red, it's at 10:55. So look at the time. About 5 o'clock in the morning, 55 minutes, about 6 o'clock in the morning, that's where the moon will be looking real red. Now, this is one thing you gotta check. Now it is really important you check this out. I'm gonna put this link on the web and the description of this video. You gotta check the time of the sunrise, because when it's getting a little bit light in the sky, you are gonna start, losing the chance to see the moon red. Now, that day, October 8th, the sun rises at 7:19 in the morning. So that means for us in Houston, we are gonna have a good chance to see the moon become, looks like red, become red. And then when the moon goes to the U3, which is it's passing the greatest eclipse. Let's see, the time will be at 11:24. By 6:24 a.m., that's when the moon starts going into this part. See, now before get to U4, the number 4, which is be 12:34. You see the time? So that means if the sun rises in Houston at 7:18 in the morning, 7:19 in the morning, that means for us this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen around the time of the sunrise in Houston, so we're not gonna see it. And also, this is gonna happen when the moon start. It's gonna set. We're not gonna see it really good, because the moon is gonna be going down to the horizon, so it will be really hard to see it. Plus, the light from the sun will be probably make the moon lose this colorful redness in there. So you can check this page. I just put Houston because I'm here and I'm trying to look at this thing, but you can just get in this page right here. Just type the city where you are. And you look at the time. And then when you look at this thing, at the same time, I recommend you to look at this page and type the city where you are. I said that in Houston, but type the city where you are and just click on October 8th and see what time the sun rises. So this information will be really good if you are planning to look at this eclipse. Remember, the moon will become red, and it's a very good chance to take pictures. You probably see the pictures around when April 15, and now we're gonna have this event again. Another recommendation I can do to you is check the weather. Make sure it's gonna be clear. And another thing, it is possible to look at the moon when it's an eclipse. When it's a lunar eclipse, it's not gonna damage your eyes, so that's okay. You can look with the naked eye. You can look through the telescopes with the cameras. If you're planning to take pictures of the moon with the cameras, if you have I need you to, well, I recommend you to get online and learn how to take pictures of the space, because astrophotography is a very different way to take pictures of nature. If you picture people, gardens, animals, stuff like that, is a way different way to take pictures of the space. If you want a picture of the moon, I recommend you to go to Google and search. Check the brand of your camera and just search like, how can I take pictures with this brand or whatever. So that way you can have an idea how to do it. Don't wait for the last moment, because this thing is just gonna pass really quickly. You never know if the weather changes or not. So I recommend you to be ready to take pictures. It's one of the most beautiful events you can see in the night times. And also, this is the second in 2014, and it will be the last of this year. The next lunar eclipse will be into the next year. Now I'm gonna pass to the second part of this video. I'm gonna talk about the partial solar eclipse that is going to happen on 23rd of October 2014. Before I start, it's really important that you follow this. Do not look at the sun when this eclipse happening. You don't look at the sun at no time if you don't have the right protection. Remember, do not look at the sun when the eclipse happening. Don't even look at the sun. It really can damage your eyes without you notice or without you feeling. I have people telling me that they look at the sun on eclipses or stuff like that and nothing happened to them. That's what they believe. But the truth is, there is damage on the eyes that you don't see it and feel it right away. So please, this is a type of eclipses, solar eclipses, where you don't look at the sun. If you have not the right protection. You have to use special glasses for a look at the sun. You can order online. There's one of them in here. Do not use U-shaped glasses. The one you use, when you just going out to the whatever you do, they're not made for that. There's special glasses. Go online and research for the safety glasses to watch the sun. Um, there's another methods to look at the sun when the solar eclipses, but you need to make sure they're safe. So I'm not recommend you nothing else that just get the right glasses and look online and see what you can do about it. You have time, it's about a month ahead, so you have enough time to, order those glasses if you need some, or research and Google to see what methods you can use to look at the solar eclipses. These glasses cost about $1 or so. If you're in Houston, if you have me on my Facebook pages, on my friend list, you can contact me. I have few glasses that I have some leftover from 2012 when we were looking at the transit of Venus. I ordered some glasses. I have several glasses to look at the sun. If you are in Houston, repeat, and if like to have I can just give it to you. I don't mind. Just contact me on Facebook, on my personal Facebook page, please, and let me know. But remember, do not look at the sun on any time, especially on these eclipses. Now, let's talk about where this eclipse will be visible. This is a diagram right here. October 23rd. Okay. All this section that you see marked in here with dark gray and light gray, the eclipse will be visible. Now remember, this is just a partial eclipse. It's gonna be, a big part of Mexico, United States, Canada, a part of Russia in here, and a little part of Central America. It's just partial. I'll show you some pictures of what you expect to see, and I'll show you the times. The greatest eclipse will be at this point. It's gonna start on this part. It's gonna walk this way, and it will end around here. The P1, the penumbra 1, the first contact will be at the 1937 hours on universal time. That's when the eclipse will start around here. The greatest eclipse will be around here. The persons who are living on an area where it's marked greater eclipse, they will not see a good image of this. The greatest eclipse will be at 21 hours 44 minutes on universal time. The last contact in P4 will be at 23:51 universal time. So as you can see, the eclipse will last for about maybe 4 hours or so. Again, the delta T of the greatest eclipse will be only last for 67 minutes. Now, there's a way to take pictures, but you have to use a proper protection for your equipment. You cannot look at the sun through a telescope or binoculars or cameras. You cannot do that. It's even worse. You are gonna double or triple the light that going through the piece going into your eyes. So do not do this, okay? There's protections for your equipment if you want to take pictures. Now the times. The eclipse will start at 1937 on universal time. I have converted the time on this page that I'm talking about earlier. I'm gonna put the link in here so you can kind of look at. It's just the timesunconverter.com. I really recommend you to use this. Is a very easy page. 1937, the solar eclipse starts. On my time in Houston should be at 2:37 p.m. Now the last contact of when the eclipse is gonna finish, it's at 23 hours 21 minutes on universal time. I did convert already, and it's at 6:21 p.m. So if you are using Central Time in United States, the eclipse will start around 2:30 p.m. and it will last for about 4 or 5 hours. This is just a partial solar eclipse. This is another map from NASA where it shows you the path of the eclipse. It's gonna start around here, and it shows the first contact will be at 19:37 p.m. Universal Time. The greatest eclipse will be at 21:44 Universal Time, and the eclipse will finish around here, right here, 23:51 Universal Time. This kind of show you which way the eclipse is gonna go, like this. Remember, all these parts are located in, inside these lines right here. The eclipse will be visible. Now, you need to check also on the time where the wherever your location is. You need to check the time the sunset. I'm marking here on October 23rd. For me in Houston, the sun will set at 6:43 p.m. and guess what? The eclipse will finish at 23:51 Universal Time, which is at 6:51. So this means that for us in Houston, or at least where we are in the area, the sun will set where the eclipse is still in motion, when it's still happening. We are gonna miss probably around maybe 20 minutes or so, and then the sun will set already, and people who are, a little bit far away from this part of the United States keep looking at this. But again, at least we're gonna see some. This is, look at the things in a positive way. At least we're gonna see some part, and we're gonna have the chance to take pictures and etc. Now remember, I'm gonna leave this pages in here. I'm gonna put the links of this pages on my description of this video. I recommend you to take a look. You still got time, make plans. If you like astronomy, and you probably got a chance to take pictures of the sun using the right equipment and protect the equipment, this can be a good chance. Check the time sun converter, and then check the time the sun will set on your location. And the third important thing, check the weather in your area. It's really hard to predict the weather, and even in a week or 2, 3, 4 days, this is really hard to predict it. The weather can change from hours, from one day, from a few hours and ahead. So I recommend you to just keep in mind, keep looking, and if you have the chance, you can have a good experience with this. This is the second eclipse, solar eclipse, that is happening in 2014, and there's no more until next year. Now, the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada, they did a very fantastic, good job on this thing. I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to leave these links on the descriptions of this video. But they actually get in here and put the cities, the name of the cities, the time where the eclipse begins, the maximum or the greatest eclipse, and the time where the eclipse ends. It explains you everything in here. And here you can take a look of the time with the sun sets. When the sun sets, they tell you what time the eclipse ends. So the S means the sun sets where the eclipse is still an event. So I recommend you to take a look of this thing if you have questions about what part of where you are in any city or state. Take a look of this. This is a very good page, isn't here? You see, I talked about San Antonio here. See, the people in San Antonio will have the chance to look at the end of the eclipse, but not for people who are in Houston. Look, see, only like maybe few minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes. For us in here, we're not gonna see the end of the eclipse, but the people, we are about 3 hours away from San Antonio. I may, take a look there. It's pretty cool. Now, it's not only United States. It also has a time and places on Canada, and 3 cities of Mexico. If you are from Canada, you can take a look at this thing. It tells you the time with the eclipse starts, the greatest eclipse, and the time would finish. And right here, I mean, they're pretty cool. I like this. This is a very good thing they did. They marked the 3 principal cities, the main cities of Mexico, which is Guadalajara, Mexico City, and Monterrey. The times where the eclipse starts and the time where the eclipse ends. You gotta check this out too. All times are in local daylight saving time. So you just take a look of this, okay? I'm gonna leave this links on the description of this video. Now, what do you expect to see? This is a very good website too. I'm gonna leave the description. I'm gonna put this link on the description. But this is what eclipse, a solar eclipse, a partial is gonna be. This right here represents the moon, and this is the sun. And I want you to take a look at this. If you're in Vancouver, Canada, you are going to see this the sun be eclipsed at about 56% of the light. Beautiful, right? It's a good chance for picture. Now in Canada you can see the whole thing, but if you're in Houston, Texas, I set up this right here. This setup I set up for Houston, Texas. We are gonna see about 20% or so when the moon, when the sun is still in an eclipse. It's when the sun sets for us. But look at this to have an idea what we're looking at in Houston. It's about 20%, and then before the eclipse ends, the sun sets. This is Mexico City. It's very few percent, but they're still gonna see something. This is from Puebla, maybe about 3%, 2%. This right here is from Russia. The eclipse will start for them a little bit before the sunrise. And this is how they will see it in there. Maybe about 6% or so. This is the website. I'm gonna leave the link on the description of this video if you want to take a look at this. This is the locations and all the data available that you can take a look. There's a lot of cities in United States, Canada, a few Mexico. I just put some Houston and Vancouver as an example so you can take an idea of what we're looking at. I'm gonna show you some pictures that I took on a solar eclipse that we had a few years ago, 2012, and we can see it from Houston. This is my Facebook page that I use for astronomy. If you can come over here and give me a like, please. Just go to facebook.com/astronomyhouston. These are the glasses that I ordered online to watch. That's back then we were gonna watch the transit of Venus. This is the picture that I took on June 5th, 2012. What do you expect to see? You kind of have an idea with the little animated GIF that I show you, but I'll show you something else in here. These two first pictures were taken by my daughter Rebecca, but this is the day, May 20, 2012. We have a solar eclipse the same way that we're gonna have on October 28. It was a partial too. I mean, actually no, it was not a partial, it was a total, but from Houston, from Texas, we only see partial because the sun was going to set before finish or complete. Now that day we have a lot of clouds in there, but on this picture you can see this. This is just part of the moon right here. That's the sun right there. That's our sun. And this was the shadow of the well, it was just the moon, actually not the shadow, it was just the moon disk covering the sun. Too bad we don't have that much time to keep looking at this that day. These some of the pictures before the stars we were looking at. It was cloudy, and here I got this image when barely started. This is the moon right here. Okay, until this moment right here, this is all about this solar eclipse that is going to happen on October 23rd. I already explained most of the things that I understand about this eclipse, and please uh, keep this really important. Do not look at the sun on any time. Do not look when an eclipse occurs. And if you want to do that, you need to get the right protection for your eyes to do that. If you want to try to look through a telescope, through a camera or a binoculars, you are still need to get protection for your equipment and of course for your eyes. So do not look at the sun straight when a solar eclipse occurs or any other time. No, seriously, there's damage that can happen to your eyes without you notice. It's really dangerous. Keep in mind, enjoy the beautiful things of nature, of the space, but in a safety way, please, okay? You can reach me on my Facebook, on my personal Facebook, or the astronomy page. I have some lenses that I have from the transit of Venus time. I have some extra lenses, so I can just give it away for free for people who really want to use it and they're interested in look at the sun, especially look at this solar eclipse that is happening in October, a partial solar eclipse. So this is all about the solar eclipse. Now I will use for a few more time to explain for the people who have no idea, because I have people been asking me questions about how this work, how the eclipse, lunar or solar eclipse work. Um, the next time I'm gonna use it for a few more minutes to explain about that, and then the last part I want to show you something really quick about this nonsense things about blood moons and the end of the world things. Just stick with me, please, if you can. Look at this picture right here. This photo was taken on December 16, 1992. It was taken by the Galileo spacecraft. This Galileo was on the way to Jupiter and it made two orbits around the Earth. On the last time, it was in 1990 and 1992. But on this case right here, this photo was taken on this December 16, 1992. It was about probably 3.9 million miles or so. And what you can see in here is the planet Earth with the moon. Now take this picture and put it in your mind and just check this out. Now you all know the solar system. We're learning in a school or anything. This is not a scale, but imagine that this is the sun right here, and this is the orbits of our planet. The first Mercury, Venus, and planet Earth. Now, the orbit of these planets around the sun, around the stars, they can be different. But in case of the planet Earth, the orbit around the sun, it's almost a circle, but it's still called elliptic. But it's not. I mean, it's not a big, huge way that you can see this elliptic form. It's almost circle, but it's a a little bit tilt. Now, the moon has an orbit around the Earth too. Now the turns, the elliptic form, it's just pretty much look like this. When it's really far away from the planet Earth, the moon looks small and it's called the apogee. When it's very close, it's called perigee. Sometimes it happens that when it's close, it's full moon, and then it's a supermoon or perigee syzygy moon. When it's close and it's new moon, we cannot see it, but it still is close and it's new moon. It's also called a perigee syzygy moon, but we cannot see it because it's completely covered. Let's start. Now, to understand the view of how do we look at these things, imagine for a moment that you can be in a spaceship far away from here and you on top of the solar system. And this is how you look if you're on top. Imagine for a moment that you're on top of a building and you can see cars. You can see just the top of the cars, right? Pretend this is the sun and pretend the moon is orbiting the air. Now, this planet Earth, it's making an orbit around the sun. So remember, the sun, the moon, and planet Earth. And remember, this is just the top view. If you could be in a space from the and look at the solar system from top, pretend this is how you look. Just like I showed you before about this picture, if you could be on top of the solar system, you can see these things like this. You can see the planet, the sun, the moon like this. Now, when a solar eclipse happens, like the one we're gonna have on October, I think 23rd, what happened in there is that the moon get between the earth and the sun. And what happened is that the moon cover, in this case is partial, so the moon will be covered just part of the sun as we can see it from earth. But now keep in mind, this is the top view. Now I want to get to this point. People asking me how this can happen only 1 or 2 times a year when the moon is making an orbit around the earth, and it takes actually 27.5, 28 days to make one turn. How come we don't have a solar eclipse once a month? Because once a month the moon is located in its position. Well, this is the explanation for this. Now I choose another card in here, and now pretend you're gonna look at the view of these cards on the side. Let's imagine the earth, the moon, and the sun. Let's imagine for a moment that this is a solar eclipse. Now with this, for a solar eclipse to happen, let's put that in our mind. They have two different views, the top view and the side view. And if you can look at these things, they all look the same. They're all in line. Now this is what it requires for a solar eclipse to happen, or either a lunar eclipse. But the point is, for eclipse to be possible, the three bodies on the space need to be aligned in a perfect shape, in a perfect line. So that way, the moon will block. If it's not all, it will be part of the light from the sun. Now, this is something beautiful about the space. Even if the moon is too small compared to the sun, but the moon is located in a perfect position, it's in a perfect distance. When this happens, that the moon has the power to block 100% the light of the sun. And this is when it's happening a total solar eclipse. And sometimes it just when this happens, it's a beautiful ring of fire happen, a diamond and stuff. So it's something beautiful. When it's partial, it's the one we're gonna have in October. The moon will always just cover a part of the sun, not the whole disk, you know. So, but the point is, that doesn't mean that the moon is the same size of the sun. Not at all. I mean, the sun is huge big compared to the moon, right? But the point is, the perfect distance and in the perfect position, the moon is capable to cover 100% the sunlight, and make the day become night. I mean, this is wonderful. Now, how can this just happen once in a while, like maybe 1, 2 times a year, sometimes every 2, 3 years? This is the explanation why. In any other time, this, if you are on top, will be the view of the three bodies, the sun, the moon, and the earth, on a solar eclipse, right? Now, in any other time, when it's not a lunar, when it's not a eclipse, the position of the moon, the sun, and the earth, if you can be on top, will be looking the same way, exactly the same way. But remember, you are looking at the top view, which is different. So any other moment on the month, what you're looking at here will be look always like that, even if it's an eclipse or not. But here's the differences. Now check this out. If you could be in a space in a space machine or whatever, and if you can look at these bodies on a side view, there is a big differences. On top, everything looks the same, but on a side view, it's a different perspective. This is how the three bodies will look with no eclipses are visible, or no eclipses are happening as a in a weight of that we can see the space from Earth, on a perspective of Earth, right? And this is the reason why these three bodies are not aligned together. Like every month, every time the moon passes between the Earth and the sun, it's not exactly in line. And this has a name for this. And this is a name This is the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth. The Earth has an orbit, right? This is what we call the plane, how the Earth orbits the Sun. Well, remember, this is the top view. Now watch this. If you can look at the view, this could be about the plane orbit of the planet Earth around the Sun. Now what happened with the Moon is this. What happened is the orbit of the Moon around the Earth, it has a tilt of 5 degrees. So when the Moon is turning an orbit around the Earth, it does have a tilt of 5 degrees. It has a 5 degrees tilt compared to the plane orbit of the planet Earth. See, this is planet Earth orbits the Moon here, but it has a tilt. So because this, it is possible for the three bodies, the Moon, the Earth, and the Sun, to don't have an eclipse every month. Now, due to the movement around the planet Earth of 28 days, every 28 days, and because this tilt, it happened that around 1 or 2 times a year, the Moon, the Sun, and the Earth matches on the same plane orbit. Now, when they are alignment, the three celestial bodies are on the same plane of orbit. That's, remember, this is not a scale, but when this happens, this is when a solar eclipse happening. And all depends of the distance of the Moon, and all depends on the position of the Moon on this plane orbit, and all depends of these things for the Sun to be covered 100% or just partial. Like when it's a total eclipse, the Moon 100% blocks the light from the Sun, and it's a beautiful, spectacular event. We probably, some of you already see it, like the one we're gonna have in October. It just go partial, yeah. So anyway, this is how this solar eclipse works. Now, on the case of a lunar eclipse like the one we have in October 8th, it's the other way the other way around happen. The Moon, the Earth, and the Sun are located on the same plane of orbit. When this happens, actually the shadow of the Earth, it's blocking the light from the Sun is reflected on the Moon. So I already explained about this thing in another video before, but it's pretty much the same principle. The point on this is a lunar eclipse, and at the same as the solar eclipse, the lunar eclipse, it can come in a different ways. It can be just partial, or it can be total. It can be just like the partial means just the penumbra of the shadow of the Earth, or it can be total. Now this happen, like I say, maybe 1 or 2 times a year, because the tilt of the orbit of the plane orbit on the Moon compared to the Earth to the Sun, and make this possible. So it's pretty much like a privilege every time eclipse happening. If it's a solar, a lunar, it's pretty much a privilege. Now sometimes it happens something we call hybrid solar eclipse. That means it's simple. What that means is, let me put this. Hybrid solar eclipses. It happens when the same principles happen. You know, the Moon is orbiting the Earth, and it happened to be on the same plane of orbit, but and then what happened is this orbit changes. The way that the eclipse starts probably as a partial and ends as an annular or total eclipse, or vice versa. It probably starts as a total eclipse and just ends as a partial eclipse. That's what we call hybrid solar eclipses. Before I finish with this topic about eclipses, let me just move this little moon in here and kind of have an idea. Remember, we all this thing looking at the side view of the three bodies. A normal time and a regular orbit, this is how they look. It's just an example. I mean, it's nothing compared with the sizes and the way the things are. It's just to have an idea how these things work. When it's a solar eclipse, that means it's the moon exactly gets between the Earth and the Sun. When it's a lunar eclipse, the other thing happened. The Earth gets between the moon and the Sun, and what happened on a lunar eclipse is that the Earth blocks the light from the Sun, and it just makes it look like a red. But it's just because the atmosphere, the light crossing for the atmosphere on the Earth, it produces this color. Exactly. The moon does not change any color on any eclipses. Now, for a lunar eclipse to happen, it has to be full moon, and for the solar eclipse to happen, it has to be new moon. And I'm gonna try to. I don't know if I can make this work. I don't know how to use any other programs, but just pretend this is the orbit that the moon makes around the Earth, and pretend you kind of look at a side view in here. Yeah, actually, the moon should hide on the other side of the planet Earth, but I don't know how to do this thing with this program that I use right now. But basically, what happens is it makes turns like this, and it hides behind the Earth, and it appears again. It go like this in front of the Earth, and it hides. And eventually, because this tilt, the moon is moving, the Earth is orbiting the Sun, and eventually, in one of these days, boom, it happened to be in the same line. And it go back again, and it start moving, go behind Earth, and then you can show it, and then it start moving until the other opposite thing happen. One of these days, the moon appears to be on the other side in a perfect line. So it's very rare to see eclipses. It's not something like we see all the time. This year was real special. It was two eclipses in a row of a lunar eclipse and then a solar eclipse. It was happening, and then another two in pair came, and it's gonna happen next month actually. And the beautiful thing about this year is that the first lunar eclipse was on April 15, and then about 6 months after there's another lunar eclipse, October 8, and then guess what? From October and 6 months ahead for the next year on 2015, there will be another eclipse. So we have another one in April 4, 2015, and around 6 months after April, and September 28, 2015 will be another one. Now this is not common to happen every year or something like that, but it's something we call tetrad, and it's actually something that happened before and it will happen again. Finish about how eclipses work, solar lunar eclipses. The next few minutes I'm gonna dedicate it to something I think it should be fine to be talking about, because I have seen some other videos and I have received some other questions about this, and that's the reason I make this video. Tetrad eclipses. And this is what all the tetrad eclipse means, that around every 6 months there's one total lunar eclipse. The first it's already happened, the next one is on October 8, and then April 4, 15, and September 28, 15. Remember, these eclipses are total lunar eclipses. Now, the question is how people start thinking about this is something out of the common things to happen on space. Well, here's the reason why. It's this book right here. It called Four Blood Moons. It was John Hagee and Mark Biltz, the one who I think this is not on the book. Yeah, I think he has some credits for this book too. But these two pastors from this church, I think this guy right here, John Hagee, he started this church in San Antonio called Cornerstone. And what happened on this book is this guy's bringing an idea that because of these tetrads, of these four moons, total eclipses in a row, it means that by the last one, it's gonna happen the end of the times or the end of the world, because they're basing their talks in the Bible when they're talking about something with the moon will be covered red like a blood and stuff like that. Well, they use the Bible to make this book and predict that the end of the world or the times will come after after the last total eclipse moon in 2015. So supposedly by this one right here, after this, they're expecting the end is gonna come. Just one word I have for this. With all the respect and with respect to these persons who wrote this book, this is a lie. And I'll give you the reasons right now. The more basic reason that I find is a lie, it's no one can predict the end of the world. How many times have you heard about the same thing over and over? But the end of the world is on May 20, December 22nd or 24th, yeah, 22nd, the Maya calendar, and so on and on. You want to check this around? Go to Google and just type list of dates predicted for apocalyptic events. I don't know if you ever seen this before. I saw it a long time ago, and it's just astonished, like, wow. You starts from a long time ago, 18th century, 19th century, 20s, 21. I actually remember some of these things. I was around from 1984, 85. I was reading books around there, and I remember reading things about the end of the world is gonna come, the end of the world. But the point is, take a look of this Google thing. You will see a big, huge, things. Well, he's already in the list. I think for the next end of the world is Johnny Hack and Mark Blitz. And then we have another one for 2020, 2021, 26. Well, at least this one right here got a very long date. Okay, all this right here, they're plausible. That happens. But not on our time, not on our time. So check this out and you see. Another reason, tetrad eclipses, they are normal to happen. I mean tetrad when I refer that an eclipse every 6 full moons, 4 eclipses in a row, every 6 months. This is not the first time it's happening. It happened before in the past, and it will keep happening again in the future. And if it happened already in the past many times, nothing happened to the world. It was just a beautiful thing to look at the sky, and it will happen again. And it's actually a privilege that we have to look at this thing. Let me show you something. Check this information. It came from NASA Eclipse website. We are on the second one on the on this century. We are on the second tetrad, but we already have one. We already had one in 2003, 2004. You can go to Google and research about this. There's actually some pictures about this eclipse. It happened already 10 years ago. Now on the 1900s, check this out. I did a video about this in Spanish a long time ago, and I really did a research about these dates, and I promise you I'll find evidence that it really happened. It was really an eclipse. There's some websites where they have scanned books of astronomy from the 1800s, 1900s, but it will take me a lot more time. But I recommend you to get a Google and research these dates, and you see what I'm talking about. But it already happened before. In 1900, 1909, 1910, it happened an eclipse, a tetrad actually, every 6 months. And then 1927, 28, it was another tetrad. 1949, 50, another tetrad. 1967, 68 tetrads. Now, 1985, 86, it was another one. And about 1985, I find a video on YouTube. This is very cool. I don't understand the language, but there's a video with this date where some astronomer was recording a star that it was hiding behind the moon on the moment of the eclipse, and he dated in there the 1985 lunar eclipse, blah blah blah. What I want to get is there is evidence that it already happened before. We already had in 2003, 2004. We're gonna have another one next month, already happening right now, and so on. So tetrad eclipses happen all the time, and everything happened in the past. It did not bring end of the world. This is not something like it bring catastrophes to the planet Earth. Now, about the moon being red, That's what they base the talks on this book. The moon become red like blood. Well, guess what? Check this out. On lunar eclipses, the moon become red because the lights of the sun crossing the atmosphere make this effect. And guess what? It's not just only on eclipses. It happened with the sunrise and with the sun sets too. Here I give you some examples, some pictures that I took on my own. This was on May 16, 2014. It was rising. The moon rising on downtown. You can see, if you see this with your own eyes, and exactly moment when the moon rises on the horizon, it takes maybe 2-3 minutes for the effect to disappear. But on the first time the moon is rise, it's incredible. It's one of the most wonderful, beautiful things you can see when the moon rises. It's red, huge, orange. I got two friends, like sometime one friend gonna call me and ask me, well, what's going on? What happened? Why the moon look like that? It was like, what happened is that you never look at the sky, you never look at the moon rises, because this happen every month. If it's clear, if you're in the right spot, you see the moon doing this thing every month. If not, check the follow picture. You see the differences in colors? And then the last one, it already changed everything. Once it's up, little by little start changing color and to look like yellow or white bright. Now I took this picture on June 16. Look at the moon. I'm sorry, look at the sun. This was the sunset. You see the way they look, like red, when actually the sun is yellow. If you look in the sky, in the middle of the sky, it's actually white, and it's super bright and powerful. But when you look at the sun on the sunsets, right on the set, it looks super beautiful, red, and that's because the atmosphere. Now look, this is a combination of so many things. The clouds in here, there was clouds. The sun was about to set around here. I was around here, but it was raining. But look at the beautiful colors in the sky. How everything changed with the light of the sun, and plays a role with the clouds, with the atmosphere. See, it's not something normal to see red things in the sky. Look at this thing too. It was on July 7. This is one of the beautiful pictures I ever take. See the clouds in there, the way the sun was set down in there that day. It was getting set. It was raining, but look the formation. It's just beautiful, and it's something normal, right? Clouds in there, the light of the sun reflect them, and make it look like something different. But you see, part of the sky was still blue, another part was red. The exactly moment, this is a very high altitude for the formation of these clouds. So combine it with the sunset and the horizon in there. I was not on top in there, but the sun, for me, on the type of perspective for where I was standing up, the sun was already set down. But if you could go up like maybe 8-10,000 feet above the ground level, you probably can see still the sun. So this is what happened with this type of images. This was the full moon rising, almost full moon, but it was close to the supermoon in July. I was in Galveston. You can see some big companies in there on the water, and that was the moon rising. The picture become really ugly like this because it was raining pretty bad and it was cloudy, so I was able to get some images like that. I know it was not a good, but just to imagine how red this thing was looking. Here at the same time, at the same place, this was a month after, in August, we have another supermoon. What you can see in here is water. I was in Galveston too. This is water. Right here is the ocean, the sea. This is some oil platforms in here, and the moon rising in there. And I'll show you what I'm talking about right now. See, a little bit more different. You can see right here the edge of the water. See, it was cloudy too, the water. Look at this. I love this. You see the reflection of the light? Right here, the little part in here, it is a reflective light in the water. Now I'll give you more light so I can prove that I was talking that day. I was taking pictures. You can tell here. But if you was there looking with your naked eyes, this is how you actually see it. I mean, you probably saw it before, you have the chance before to do this, but if you're looking at the moon rise on the horizon, it actually looks like this red. And again, it's not the moon, it's actually the atmosphere, the light. So all these beautiful things happen on a perspective of view. And to finish, red moons are normal because something we call rayleigh scattering. It's something to do with the atmosphere, the composition of the atmosphere and the light crossing the atmosphere from the sun. You can check that out in Google if you like to know about this. You see, there is no way to predict the end of the world by looking at the space. I mean, by looking at the moon in this case. There are threats on the space like asteroids, comet, solar flares. You know, when they eject coronal mass ejection, they always make a threat to the planet Earth. But so far, there's nothing threatening our planet. So, and also, this is one of the reasons why it should be a good idea to study the space. You know, this is the reason why I like interested in the space so much. You get a telescope, cameras, or start studying at the space, start looking at research at the space, and there's a lot of opportunities to chances that you may find a new asteroid. You know, you never know. There is not much space, you know, that we already learn about them. There's a lot of big windows, like maybe 60%, 50% of a space that we know about it. We're not aware about what's going on, if it's a threat, if it's not, because there is not enough people looking and researching. So this is one of the good things about astronomy. Or you can be an amateur astronomer, go any other astronomy club. It's a good thing, you know. If you find something, you let the astronomers know, and you know they take the steps necessary for this. But I repeat, this can be a threat for the planet Earth. But if you want to base a prophecy just in something that is common to happen, like a lunar eclipses or solar eclipses, it does not make that much sense in those cases. So I will highly recommend you to don't believe those things, and you know, keep your eye looking at the space, make your own research. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. There's a lot of things on the internet that really not make any sense. You know, people sometimes just make things or invent things for their own reasons. You know, sometimes I don't understand. I call this a phenomenon sometimes because I don't understand. But the point is, there's a lot of good information about the space, and it's available for public. You just need to get there and reach it and read it. And this is it about this video. I'm gonna put all the links that I use for make this video on the description in here. Now, if you have a chance, I'm gonna ask you if you can to get on Facebook. If you have a Facebook, this is my Facebook for astronomy. I'm gonna put this link on the description. If you can, just get in here and give me a like, please. I will appreciate that. This other page is for photography only. I do take pictures of nature, of the moon, of the sun, and stuff like that. If you have a chance, again, I will appreciate if you can get in here and give me a like. Well, friends, this is all about this video. Remember, October 8th, it's about maybe 2-3 weeks more, we have a total lunar eclipse, and by October 23rd we have a partial solar eclipse. Thanks for watching.